How much of your videos are staged?
0. But a lot of like, what the hell are you doing?
It's like $1 million business ideas that people can start within 48 hours without initial capital.
Here's my like 6 funnel steps to get you to be a jillionaire.
There is a Lambo in my backyard.
See, that's $1 million opportunity. Marina, should I buy it? Yes. What about this private flight? Yes. Do you think I should do it?
Marina
Yes.
approved.
I probably spent tens of thousands in therapy on how to spend my money.
But has the money been worth it? My first question is the question that you keep asking people. How did you get rich? What's the number one source of income now?
I don't want to share. It's from crypto. I'm
Interview's
crypto
over.
rich. No, I've gotten really rich through starting a software business called appsumo.com.
Mm-hmm. So that's your number one.
That is how my number one and pretty much most of it.
Okay.
I have real estate. I lose a lot of money in real estate. I've actually became a crypto millionaire accidentally. That was not my intent, but that was pretty cool.
Did you sell high or you kept?
I never sell.
Okay. The question is, are you still a crypto millionaire or?
Yeah, we can find out. Oh, let's see.
That's so cool. This conversation with Noah Kagan is brought to you by Course Careers. In this video with Noah Kagan, we will talk a lot about not postponing your life for later and starting the business of your dreams now. It's the same with careers. If you're thinking of starting a career, I recommend you take the first steps now. The best way to do this is by using Course Careers. Course Careers is the ultimate solution for those who want to start their career in tech from scratch. Their free introduction course will give you a full understanding of which profession is right for you and what your work will be about. After that, you can choose a full paid course that will teach you all the needed skills and support you all the way to your first job in tech. Course Careers has proven many times that anyone can start a career in tech. Their channel has tons of stories from former fast food employees, truck drivers, or people who had no work experience at all, landing their dream jobs in tech and earning $100K or even more. The most fascinating thing is that some students are getting jobs without even applying, as Course Careers have employers on their platform that request to interview graduates. If you're interested in starting a career in a smooth and quick way, please use my link to Course Careers below to get a $50 discount on any of their course or join their free introduction course. Thank you, Course Careers, for sponsoring this video, and now we're returning to our conversation with Noah.
It's 1.2 million, but it was the account was locked because these someone said that I was dead. I guess I'm not dead yet. But yeah, most of the money that I've made has been just at appsumo.com. I mean, I did become a millionaire by around 30 with regular jobs, which is also pretty crazy, like a millionaire cash. And I think people think you have to have like some crazy entrepreneur Silicon Valley tech, and especially if you see it on my YouTube channel, that just it's not the case.
Yeah.
So I love disproving that.
Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that. I really want to talk about real estate and YouTube. But like my question is now, I know you're probably just starting out your journey, but has the money been worth it?
It's like I'm in my own show.
Exactly.
This is like my own nightmare. It's like a cool dream. I feel so lucky every single day. I can't believe it, and I don't know how I got here, if I'm honest.
So how old are you now?
I'm 41.
41, all set financially, getting a baby. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle. I think I guess now that I'm doing the $1 Million Weekend book and all this different reflections, frankly, I've been thinking about how hard I made it on myself along the way, and also realizing that it's not exclusive just to me. Anyone can do it. I definitely did it, and that's the only difference, is that everyone out there can do it too. And when my 20s was like failure, kind of some success, then it failed, and then 30s is when I launched AppSumo on the weekend, and I was like, wasn't making a ton of money myself at all. I mean, I think $0 the first year myself. The company crushed. The company was doing really well. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I didn't really start getting money until year 7, and then only at, like, this sounds crazy, but year 10, when COVID happened, is when I finally was like, I might die. Maybe let's try to enjoy life a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So that's great. So your main key takeaway for all of the beginner entrepreneurs. I feel like you keep saying like start a business over a weekend, but looking at your story, you've had so many experiences before actually starting over a weekend. You had businesses that failed. What will be your main advice to everyone who's trying to start a business in 2024?
Start. It'll work. My whole story is exactly that. What most people never do is they want to be millionaires, but they never become dollaraires.
Yeah. When you look at people, I know it's really easy to say like start, but a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to start, I'm going to fail. What is the average time span that you see people take to actually become successful?
It depends how you define success. So let me just give you a story literally from last week. There's a guy named Ritesh. Ritesh works, I don't want to say his employer, but there's a guy named Ritesh. He works at a big company, dreams of becoming rich and independent so he can spend time with his family and have more freedom. And so he's wanted to do something for I don't know how long. And he built it for a very long time. And then he's like, I need to find someone. And it's a software product targeted to dentists. How many people do you know that have dentists? And the answer is everybody has a dentist. And I was like, well, you have a dentist too. Have you talked to your dentist? He's like, yeah, but I'm like still building it. I'm APIing it. I was like, you could also find out today if this is something they want.
Yeah.
And so I literally got a text from him this morning that he went and talked to his dentist and he got $500.
Wow. First revenue.
Yeah, which is amazing. In terms of how many swings it takes, it's just however many it takes, right? It took me probably 25 tries to get to AppSumo. And the crazy thing about business is only one try has to work.
Yeah.
And Ritesh got his first try at $500, which is pretty damn amazing. Now he's going to deliver on that. And then find another dentist. And I think the second thing that's interesting is anyone can start today. They can start a YouTube channel on their phones. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a big network to have big wealth, but you do have to start. And the second thing that I've seen from my own story that I was surprised about, and really from all the billionaires I've worked for or interviewed, is just you have to stick with it for an excessively long period of time. And most people are doing the opposite of these things.
But
so most people don't find out quickly that something works.
But you iterated through 25 ideas, as you said, right? And I think for me as well, and I really wanted to talk about that. For me, I want to have this kind of stability where I have multiple sources of income, several business ideas. But how do you know like how long it should take for you to actually figure out if it's working or not? I've been talking to a lot of YouTubers and they tell me like 12 months. Like you have to be consistent with a YouTube channel for 12 months to actually figure out if it's working or not. What's your take on that? Like, when did you give up on those 25 ideas? What was the average?
I guess my two things is I think people are lying to you and telling you what others do when what successful people do is they don't diversify. They go all in on what's working. Look at every billionaire. Literally, just go look at every billionaire. Literally only one thing. And so when people are like, I'm going to get rich on real estate and investing and a startup and a thing, I'm like, okay, that's watering 4 plants and none of them grow great. And if you just do one thing that's working and then you stick with it, I call it law of 100, which is like do 100 days, do 100 times, do 100 of it. You will find that you're probably splitting your time in too many things. And if you just kept doing the thing that works, that is how you will grow the business. There is something you have to be mindful of, which is how big is that opportunity? Most people are playing in like $1,000 opportunities. They're not playing like AppSumo. I'd say a lot of our success is that I just chose a market that became $1 trillion market, which is software. Now, in terms of how long it takes to become a millionaire, I think someone will do it in a weekend. After this book came out, I think someone will do it in a weekend, but I think cash money, if I had a bet on it, it would be 10 years. And no one wants to do that, right? Everyone wants like, how do I do it in 12 months? And I think the real thing to think about there is how do you just find something you enjoy the work? How do you find, like for me, YouTube, I've been doing it. I put my first YouTube video is 2006, which is bonkers.
Wow.
Right. And
one of the first
right now,
in 2005.
The guys came and pitched me about YouTube when I worked at Facebook, which was crazy. Chad and Steve, who I've like texted with and emailed with these guys. I think that the point there though, is that some YouTubers quit, some people don't. And the people who win just don't quit and they find something that they can sustain. And like, even for my YouTube channel, my team quit, all of them recently. And so I was kind of like really bummed out. I was like, the editor quit, the shorts guy quit, or creative director quit.
Do you know why? Did you ask them?
The shorts guy quit because I referred him another client, and then he said he got too busy. I was like, didn't I just now he came back to the channel a month ago, so we're on better terms, and I'm paying him more. Mm-hmm. The other two people wanted to have their own 7-figure businesses.
You inspired your team. That's great.
Yeah. And so now I'm hiring them back as consultants to help advise. But my point here for people about how to get rich and how long it takes is, even though I'm not putting out a video every single day or every single month, I'm like, I want to do it for 10 years. I like it. You can find out really quickly if it works. That's what the whole point of the book is. But then the success and the results and the pride is going to come through sticking with it for an extended period of time.
But let's go back to your business ideas. You said 25 different business ideas that you've tested.
Yeah, we can walk through those.
No, I just want to understand the key takeaway. When did you know it wasn't going to work? Was it what you felt every day waking up? Was it the numbers? What did you look at?
So when I started AppSumo, I think you have to be obsessed with the problem. And let me just give a clear example. When I started AppSumo, I was obsessed and really excited about the problem. How do you get software creators customers? Because after all these different tries, and by the way, by starting things, you'll find them keep learning and learning and learning through all this failure. And I wanted to do the problem. So I launched a software review site called Software Taco. And it was like after a month of building, and I had reviews, and there was a little bit of trial. There was like no sales and no traffic really though. I was like, okay, well, this is going to take a while. And then I built a thing called Reward Level, which was a software solution that I can't even explain it. It doesn't make any sense. It's like you put buttons on two people's websites and you kind of promote each other. It makes no sense. And we got like $500, but which was very cool. Your first payment, which AppSumo's first payment was $12, is a sweet feeling, but it took months to build it. And I think one of the things you can look for as you're doing software businesses, or frankly, any businesses, is how much are you convincing people? Like, how much are you convincing them to sponsor versus they're like, oh my God, Marina, I can't wait to give you money. And so when I did AppSumo, like the software creator was like, oh my God, yes. And then when I put it on Reddit for free, I was like, hey, I got this deal, $12, send me a PayPal. Like, it crushed. It was just like instantly. I tell people to get 3 customers in 48 hours. I think we got hundreds over a few days. It was just overwhelming. So you can, and I think that's the point. You can have the same problem and you kind of try it in different formats. And eventually you're like, oh, snaps, this is working. I think people get way too obsessed on losers. They're like, because what happens is we're glorifying sticking with things, but they're sticking with a loser that no one wants. And they're not thinking, all right, no one's wanting this. How do I find the thing they actually do want? Yeah. Like, I think Paul Graham's got it backwards, right? He's been saying, make things people want, right? It's like, don't make shit. Find something people are excited to pay you for and then make it.
Love it. I love this approach. Okay, let's talk about those business ideas where people are willing to pay you. And we're going to go one by one. And I want to start with business ideas that you're actually working on, right? Because, well, YouTube channel, let it be number one. You said one video costs $22,000 to make, and you actually lost money on YouTube in 2023, right? So I've invested. Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer the word invest, which sounds softer than losing.
Yeah. Okay. Modest loss, whatever the press says. Do you view it as a business? Do you think it's a good business, or for you, it's just a hobby?
A little bit of both. I don't know. It's fun. I like making content. I like meeting people like yourself. I like figuring out what kind of content's going to inspire people on their business journeys. I will say net, being public and having a brand, which everyone can do, and I recommend for all businesses, it's been highly beneficial for AppSumo. Super beneficial. Like, most of our customers, a significant portion know who I am. Mm-hmm. And I think this is evolving, whether you're doing YouTube or Twitter or whatever, platform you enjoy. I think people know build in public. It's kind of like a common phrase. I think the next iteration, which I think I've seen with $1 Million Weekend that's working, is build with the public. And so instead of build on Twitter and you build an audience and then you kind of send them things, like, how do you get your customers in the kitchen with you? And I think YouTube's been a cool way to experience, like, all right, I'm working on things. What are people commenting about? What are people asking me about? And like, that definitely makes me feel like there's opportunities to create software for them or problems for them or how I can help them from doing it in YouTube.
So you view it mostly as part of AppSumo, right? Because you mentioned a lot of your customers.
I think strategically, you can look at it as brand awareness, right? Like, that's for AppSumo's standpoint. For me, it's also fun. Like, I just enjoy it. But from a business approach, if you have a company, I highly recommend, I want to say should, but 100% of people who have companies should figure out a way to how to get free customers, right? It does cost money to create the content, but it is the best way I've ever seen, and to get free customers. And by the way, you don't have to even do the content yourself. You can sponsor people.
That's
like AppSumo. I think we sponsor, maybe it's $100,000 a month, where we're sponsoring people like yourself and a lot of other great creators that inspire entrepreneurs.
yeah. Have you tried channels with other faces, other speakers?
We are testing that out at AppSumo. That's interesting you asked. So at AppSumo, there's a guy named Mitchell Cohen, who he worked on a bunch of different projects, and he's always loved creating content. So we're like, why don't we just keep your salary, but then go experiment. So his only goal in Q1 is to create 300 different pieces of content and try to find like what channel, what medium, what type of content is going to actually work. It's kind of like, have you seen Duolingo?
Yeah.
They've then become, everyone knows, a lot of business people know the Duolingo content marketing owl person. And that was from an intern. So we're experimenting with it. I think, a lot of the ways that I approach YouTube, I approach AppSumo, I approach this book, is how do you test things before you go invest in them? Mm-hmm. So we said, hey, take Q1, try everything that you can imagine out, and then we'll see which one we enjoyed and also can appeal to people wanting to, start businesses that we can help at AppSumo.
I love that approach. That's genius. 300 pieces of content. Like, you're not looking at...
Well, yeah, because if we just did views, it incentivizes the wrong behavior, because then he would just care about content that gets exposure.
Yeah.
And I've seen it on YouTube. It's been really interesting. I have 1 million subs over, I think, about 2 years now. And some of my last videos just get no views. And it's a really interesting thing about that you don't have as much control of your audience as we think these platforms do. And so it's critical to get an email list to be able to communicate with that audience.
Yeah. How do you do that on your channel? Do you give them something for free, or what's your funnel?
We've tried it. We've tried a lot of it. I don't think people go into the description as much as possible. I think the number one thing I've seen is that it has to be relevant to the material you're talking about. And then the two ones that have worked for us, one was I have a course, which I won't even say, but it was like, hey, if you like this video and you want to be a millionaire like this person, we have a course, which makes a lot of sense. And I think it was really cheap at the time. It was like $10. It was like stupid cheap, which it's not anymore. That one worked well. And then the other one that worked exceptionally well, and it was kind of an experiment that we tried, was I have a goal setting, how I plan my goals and what my goals are for 2024. And we just put it out there like, hey, check this out, join the newsletter, and you'll find out tomorrow. And that crushed really big. And so it was a good reminder. You have to have something people really want.
Yeah.
I mean, the YouTube community tab has been huge. I think that's definitely slept on a lot by YouTube creators, where it's another way. Like if you create something on YouTube and it's like, okay, they have to see the video, you can actually post images and text and links and polls. And we're having a lot of good results with that.
Yeah. For me, shorts were they were working like magic until they disabled link in the first comment. Because that was a game changer for us, for our business. So we're getting like 80 million views in shorts every month, and we were able to sell products through shorts. But now it's no longer an option.
So what do you change it to?
So now we've stopped posting shorts because I realized, also going viral on shorts gave me a certain amount of exposure, like being recognized. And I realized there is like the money and the audience that thinks is not really in shorts anymore. It's in long form. So we switched back to long form. Our strategy now is we're launching multiple channels. Some of them are doing pretty well. Now we're very niche. My company is a test prep company. And that has been really exciting. Like just pivoting to long form content, not focusing on views, focusing on conversions, focusing on the amount of revenue that we're making. It's a different approach because with shorts, you just try to make millions of views, but then you realize, but what's the point of going viral? Okay, I go to the playground and everybody knows me. How does that help me with my life? I don't know. So it's...
Yeah, I remember saying, because our shorts cost about $3,000 a month for this agency. And I remember telling someone, I'm like, we're making all our money back. And they're like, double check your numbers. So I went to TikTok and Instagram and YouTube revenue. I think we make like $200 a month from it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. Some people would argue it's like you're being recognized, like your face is now familiar to people, and the CTRs will kind of grow on your long form because they are more likely to click on the face they know. I don't know. I shut down all of my channels with shorts. We have like multiple in different languages, and I thought, I don't know. I don't want to be like a celebrity who can't just walk without being recognized.
That's trade-offs. I think your bigger point to me, what I really love what you're saying is like, is it actually making a difference towards your goals?
Yeah. Is it different for a business? No.
Yeah, and I think if you actually are spending significant money and real money on these things, you start making more intentional decisions, which is great. You're like, hey, it's costing this much money. Yes, it's cool people see me, but like they're not paying.
Exactly.
I guess our impression is for that amount of money, it is getting exposure, which then is kind of like an awareness thing into the long term.
It's like content. PR. How much are you willing to spend on PR? But don't see it as something that converts.
Yeah, I think the ultimate thing is just what's working for each business. Like at AppSumo.com, which is crazy. Think about this. It's almost $100 million a year. We really only have a few channels that really work. It's really just ads and affiliate. That's it.
Not YouTube?
That's our only way of people finding out about us.
What about YouTube?
YouTube, no. I would say I'm not driving, because we've done an affiliate connection where like I drove and said, hey, go buy stuff on AppSumo, like my course. And the numbers were small. But doing ads from Google and Facebook and Meta and all those places, that worked. That still works exceptionally well, specifically on Google. Facebook's not working as well. And then our like affiliate ambassador program. Those are pretty much the two ways we get exposure. And I think what I encourage, I don't know, people to think about, and I love what you were saying, Marina, just like what's actually working.
Yeah. Look at the numbers. Totally.
Go double check it.
Yeah. Okay. My next question about your YouTube was, by the way, how much of your videos are staged?
0.
So you literally go to people's houses and you never got kicked out and you never had issues with security or somebody pointing a gun at you.
Yeah. A gun, I mean, no. But a lot of like, what the hell are you doing? I think the worst reaction was honestly in Switzerland. That was, Monaco, we got taken to the police station. That was a little bad. So we were just detained by the police. All the footage was almost deleted.
In Monaco, it's forbidden.
What did you do?
We were going up to people on the streets, asking them what they did for a living and like, what's so cool about Monaco? And like, what is it? Because, you hear about Monaco, James Bond. And I guess we did it where the famous casino was. And then people reported this to the police. And then they literally like checked everything. They checked the cameras, they checked the phones. And they're like, you need a permit for doing this. Took us to the police station. I tried to film in the police station. No, that wasn't. So that sucked. And then Switzerland, we'd go up to people on the streets, ask them like, oh, Swiss are rich. And then Switzerland was really interesting. People were like, you need to make sure you delete the footage and don't record me at all. We always make an effort where if someone doesn't want to be filmed or we try to stay far away. But no, I mean, going up people in the first class, the private jet one, the houses, it's just more discomfort. Going up to these people's doors. And we try to be respectful. I'm not trying to annoy people or film things that people don't want their faces on online. When
you go to people's houses and you ask them to film, how many no's would you get? Like, what's the conversion rate into an actual video?
Yeah, you're from Silicon Valley. The house ones was shocking. So I did LA and Austin. More than you'd expect will say yes. So maybe around 50%.
Wow.
Are actually saying yes. Here's what's crazy. Newport Beach, California. I think that video has 1 million views, possibly. I haven't looked recently. I think we were getting like 8 out of 10.
Interesting.
8 out of 10. And yeah, we just get people like, everyone in Newport Beach is the friendliest place on earth.
That's amazing.
They must be so happy there. Yeah, we didn't know anyone. What was kind of funny, I'm Jewish. And so I'd go on these doors that had a mezuzah, like the Jewish thing. And I'd be like, hey, my Jewish brother, can you come out and talk about your money? And they were like, no, we're not coming to the door. Get the hell off our property. And then ones that had like crosses were like so friendly to me. I was like, man, maybe I need to convert.
Interesting.
They were so warm. I mean, because people were so friendly, we thought maybe we could ask. And a lot of $1 Million Weekend and what I encourage people to do, it's not to annoy people. It's just like, you don't know what you can get unless you ask. And if they say no, that's okay. Don't bother them. But if they say yes, like one lady gave us a house tour. This other people were like, hey, come in our house. He gives us another house tour. And I mean, these are like $15 million plus houses. And I think people are surprised. What's that?
Was that Beverly Hills?
No, that was all Newport Beach.
Oh, okay.
When I did Venice, like Venice near LA, Venice Beach, those people were not happy to see me. And so what's interesting though, Marina, by the way, too, content creation wise, we did this, we copied, most YouTube videos, it's like you're copying another genre or you're copying all these other people. It's like, here's 15 books that suck, right? Or here's why you're still poor. And I did those, right? I tried them for a year and it wasn't really working. All right. Like none of the, and I ask about like, is it working, right? Businesses, but it's the same with content. And so at the end of more or less a year of doing 3 videos a week, we were like, let's just try something totally different. And we saw people on TikTok doing knock on doors, and they're so fake. They're the most fake thing I've ever seen. Like, hey friend, come on in.
And they're already with a mic, right?
Yeah. I was like, 0 people do that.
Yeah.
0. And I will tell you, people come to my door now. Like these 2 kids were coming up to my door today, and I'm screaming down at my girlfriend, don't open the door. I see him. I do try to be nice though. I do try to, but I didn't want her going to the door, and I was in the middle of some other stuff. But I do try to be mindful of that because I'm going to others' doors. Like I am mindful, like, okay, probably let me be a little nicer. But yeah, Venice Beach, super not good. But the overall thing is we did stuff that wasn't working. Tried this one video because we saw a TikTok that was like, oh, that's kind of different, and launched it, and it was like 1 million views right away. And then we kind of got, and I think this is what we've done really well at AppSumo, is like try a lot of things out. And then once it works, just go,
all
just
in.
do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all our videos were that. And then we tried a video on biggest regrets of old people, like old rich people. And we were doing compilation videos. And then we were like, oh, wow, like these that sounds weird, but older people that are billionaires are really interesting and have really good stories. So then the channel is kind of like that. And then this like knocking on doors or just asking people that look rich.
Love that. I love how you experiment and how you approach YouTube as a business. So do you think starting a YouTube channel is still a good business idea in 2024? Or you think there are already too many channels, everyone is copying each other, everything has already been said?
I think it's just the beginning. In 10 years, people will be like, man, remember 2024? It was so easy to start then.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I think what I'd be considering is like, where do you have an advantage? Where can you win that's easier, right? And so what's actually interesting about the book is that it's hard to write a book. It's hard to write actually like a traditionally published book or even a self-published book and get people to read it, but there's less competition in that space.
Yeah.
So I would try to be thinking like where are areas, maybe even on YouTube, that there's less people competing. Now in like this business genre content, there's like so many people like, hey, here's my like 6 funnel steps to get you to be a jillionaire.
Yeah.
Or it's unbelievable. And so I would try to think about what's your unique advantage that no one else can copy. So like I work at AppSumo. There's only, maybe there's 100 people who work there that could make content about it. And so I think there's interesting stories about how we run $100 million a year business. And so that's unique, and I can talk about it. And ultimately it's also good for business. I would just be thinking about, there's a lot of interesting platforms. I would just pick one and then think about what's the unique thing that works for you on that. And for me, I also consume an exorbitant amount of YouTube, probably 20 hours a week. I'm watching YouTube channels, YouTube videos, and not to study. I just like it.
Nice.
But I think it's early. I think it's super early. And when I tried 3 years ago, when I started wanting to get more attention, I wanted to, my ego, and just, I liked it. And I was like, oh, let me put myself back out there aggressively. I tried all the platforms. And I think what people have to figure out, just pick one. That's the whole secret.
Yeah.
Just pick one. And I think you actually called it out really well, Marina, where like you can get all these subs from shorts and stuff, but those people may not actually give a shit about you.
Exactly.
And so I think you have to find find the one where if you ask these people eventually to turn from an audience into a customer, do they actually want to listen to you? Do they care about you at all? And I think that was interesting when I was doing, that's why I don't do TikTok at all. I don't know. I just never thought that was going to matter. So, but while I was doing YouTube, I was like, oh my God, like these commenters are like real people. I talk to them, I message them, I like them. Exactly. I want to help them.
Yeah.
And that's why we tried all of them in the beginning, and then we just focused only on YouTube. We thought the reach relative to the amount of work to make a video was the best result.
Totally. Yeah. And also from me, like maybe a piece of advice, niche down. This is something you said. I think the opportunity is in different niches, and a lot of people try to go after like this something really big, like how to get rich, but try to niche down.
I would also just get started. Like everyone could put out, like my first videos were just on my phone. And I think people are like, I need a lighting studio. Like this is like a, pretty snazzy studio. Got this like camera set up over there.
Oh, that's a pretty cool studio.
Yeah, no, this is like I think all in maybe 25, 30 G studio in my house, and it's like run by this little button box thing.
Nice.
And but guess what? That's because I started just doing one video on my phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest differentiator is most people I don't think get to like 10 videos. So I'm like, get to 100, then quit. Do 100 tweets, do 100 TikToks, whatever.
And also experiment. Don't do just one thing. Because some people are like, let me do 100 videos that are completely.
Yeah, I've seen people, they're like, I've done 100 and no one's watching it. And I was like, all right, let me see this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Go ask the people in your network or in your friends or in your contacts. You have 150 people on your phone. Everyone does. Send it to them and say, hey, can you give me feedback?
Yeah.
And if they're not watching it, great. They'll tell you and then you can make it better.
Exactly. Experiment. Let's talk about launching a book. Do you see it as a business or is it just like a fun project for you?
I think there's a common theme. I'm having fun out here. I mean, it sucked for so long and I think I was chasing money. And then when, I finally started thinking like, what do I like to do? And what's the minimum number? I call it the freedom number. What's the minimum number you need to actually do what you want to do? And for me, it was $3,000. And I was like, if I can make that much doing AppSumo, I'm going to quit my day job and do this. And I was able to do that after a few months. The book is interesting. This is one of the most surprising things with the book. It's nice to have an excuse to go promote what you're working on. That's been probably one of the more surprising things where it's like, if you created something, like I think we create things and then we create our own content and we stay in our own bubble. And it's like, why not create something? I think a book has been one of the more interesting ones. And then you can actually go outside to other people and talk about what you're working on. And you have to, hit up people like, hey, I'm working on this thing. I'd love to come share it with you.
Yeah.
So from a strategic point of view, two things. I wanted to work on something that was also going to take a long time. I know that might sound strange, but most of the work we do is like in days, weeks, quarters. And I was like, I want something that's going to take years. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to sign up. It's like signing up for a marathon. You're like, once you sign up for it, you have to train for that 26.2. And I was like, all right, well, I'll sign up for a 4-year project. So I wanted that number one. And then we did think, me and my business partner, we're like, yeah, if this does well, this could be a cool story to share about how AppSumo came to be where it is, that people can find out, people can do it for themselves. And as well, they might, hear about AppSumo. So we invested in terms of salaries, promotion, I don't know, maybe 400,000 into the book.
Oh, wow.
So
you don't have a publisher? Is it self-published?
No, we're published with Penguin. Mm-hmm. So I think Penguin's like the number one publisher in the world right now. So I was like, if I was going to do the book, I wanted to like go all in. I didn't want to leave anything behind on it. So it was like, I want to find the best writer in the world. So I hired Tal Roz. I didn't know him. I had to just call him. Again, I think a lot of these things I'm trying to show people, I'm like, I didn't know him. I didn't, when I started all this kind of internet stuff in 2004, I worked in a cubicle at Intel. There wasn't even Facebook really, right? But I got started. I like reached out to people. I asked people who I should meet. Like I try to set up events. I try to put myself out there. And so the book where it is today, it was like, how do I do something that, I think shares our unique approach about how I've started a lot of businesses and that other people can do for themselves.
I guess the question would be, what is your main goal when you publish a book? Is that in 10 years, you want to be known like as an author? Do you want to sell 1 million copies? Or is it just another funnel for AppSumo? Or is it mostly for your brand? Do you want this personal brand awareness?
I just wanted to do it. If it sold like, we just made the New York Times list, which is actually a lot harder than I expected. Thank you. I just found out like an hour ago.
That is awesome.
On the day of launch was the first day I looked at numbers of the book. And at AppSumo, we have like, a business intelligence team. And we have all this software that does a lot of research and revenue team and all this stuff. But I actually didn't do a lot of that. I intentionally didn't look at that with the book. I was like, I'm just going to do the marketing based on the stuff that I teach in the book. And as long as the inputs look good, I think the results in terms of how it'll perform will do well. And my initial goal for the book, to your question, was 1,000 reviews. I just want 1,000 people to read it and leave a review because I read a lot, I read a tremendous amount. And when I see a book with 1,000 reviews, I'm like, wow, people really seem to like that book.
I like how you quantify everything, and that quantity is not like something unreachable. It's very, 1,000 reviews, that's great.
Yeah.
There's the action plan, how to reach there. 300 pieces of content to test out the strategy. I love that. I feel like this is a lot of your success. And I guess that's what's in the book as well. You set very specific goals that define success for your idea. And for a lot of people, they don't do that. And so they find themselves 4 months into doing something, a year into doing something, and they still don't know whether it's working or not because they haven't set a KPI for themselves. I love how everything that you do has a certain KPI.
It all has one KPI. So everything. Like AppSumo's KPI this year is 56.6 million net revenue. The YouTube channel is 1.25 million subs. This book was 1,000 reviews. You know, I'm having one baby. So that's you know, I was, when I was at Facebook, that was what Mark was really good at. He was good at focus. And I think when you have a realistic focus, right? Especially I think early on, people are like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm like, well, how much money have you made so far? They're like, 0. I'm like, great, let's just get $1.
Yeah.
And I think when you can make attainable, consistent goals, like I think when you make goals that you can stick with for a very long period of time, maybe 10 years, 20 years, like that is compounded returns. And so, yeah, I didn't really care if it sells 1 million copies. I wanted to write something I was proud of, that I personally would read and be like, I can tell someone else this is a good book to get going for starting businesses, because I never had one. I read a lot of them and I was like, damn, I really wish there was a book. And that's a great way. You know, you asked me of business ideas in the beginning, like think about what's lacking in your life or what you wish you had. And then now, you know, you're talking about 1,000 reviews. I literally just DM'd people on Twitter and LinkedIn and I said, hey, I'm looking to a launch team. I'm trying to get 1,000 people. So when I put out the book, if you've liked the book and you've helped me with this book, I'd love for you to leave a review. And so today I spent 3 hours texting those people, just saying thank you. And then I do ask them later if they like the book, like, can you leave a review?
Awesome.
And so it's straightforward towards the thing I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay, let's move on to business idea number 3. And that's real estate. And you said you lost.
Oh, real estate sucks.
Why? Like,
real estate is such trash. Oh, I hope no one ever does. Okay, so you have a YouTube channel, right?
yeah.
I don't know if you want to share numbers, but let's just say your YouTube channel, like you literally can make unlimited money on a very little input is what I've observed. Like I think I'm overspending. Like real estate, you have to have so much capital generally to actually do well. And then you have to wait a lot of time. And then there's a lot of other variables. I just find it so much easier to compete in other ways than real estate.
I feel like real estate just provides this kind of long-term stability kind of feeling. Because with YouTube, first of all, you can get canceled anytime. That's the culture that we live in. But even apart from that, you can get burned out. And I see a lot of YouTubers quit after like 6 years. They're tired of being in front of the camera. And yes, you can also explore being a producer, hiring other creators to work for you. But I feel like real estate has been around for 100 years. And you talk to a lot of billionaires. You've probably seen that most of them end up owning a lot of real estate. And I just talked to my financial advisor yesterday, and he advises a lot of people in Silicon Valley. And he said this huge differentiator for people who are like well off is unfortunately real estate, because he's talking to people who are in their 50s and 60s. And he said people who stand out are the ones, in terms of their wealth, are the ones who've been investing in real estate throughout their career, you know, every year, every 2 years buying something.
Do you have real estate?
I just bought, yeah.
Oh yeah, your first house. I saw the video.
Yeah, Airbnb in Hawaii.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay. The nation of Hawaii. Here's okay. So you've got one, which is great. If you want to sell it today, do you realize it doesn't sell right away?
I know, and this is why it's like.
Do you realize like you have to like? I think there's a lot of things that people just don't even realize. Like, because I remember when 10 years ago, people were telling me real estate's like the way, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, and I hear other people saying real estate's stupid. And again, I think the beauty of life is try it out for yourself. Mm-hmm. Do one, test and invest. Test if you like it, then do more.
What happened with your real estate? What happened? Yeah,
so let me just share. I think if you buy your main residence, it's good. I actually recommend that. But now with Airbnb, you literally don't have to buy vacation houses. And only I would say buy one if you're going there a lot of times and you want to be able to guarantee the placement. But with real estate, one, you're going to get equivalent return through the stock market, and it's liquid. So why wouldn't people just do the stock market?
I guess it's also because of the ups and downs and the crash.
There is ups and downs, right? But that also if you average it over a long period of time, you get I think it's give or take 10%. It's like 8 to 12% is what the S&P has done since 1900.
I think it's just this. Okay, maybe I'm talking as a woman who wants like a house. There's everything crashes. There is a place where I can stay and no one's going to charge me rent.
100%.
If I get
No, and I think we should
out
have
of
a
my
primary
kids.
residence.
But
I totally agree. I think having a primary residence, like I live in an amazing house and I can't believe I live here. I'm always just like, this house is crazy. But in terms of like getting rich, I think you can make money one way, diversify in the stock market. Just like, let me give you an example. So I have these condos that the HOA is always giving me problems. The tenants are nice people, but they're like, oh, the fan broke, this thing happened. And the actual amount of money I make is like $500 a month. And I think what people need to consider is like, what's your opportunity cost? And so if you want to be in what?
Do you count in equity?
I only measure my equity and my net worth. I don't do like the valuations.
Okay.
So for these properties, like I have condos, I think they're each worth $500,000. And I think I have like maybe 300,000 in equity in them. But what's crazy is I try to sell them and they don't even sell right away. And then you have problems with the HOA. And then people are like, okay, well that's just because you have a condo and that's stupid. I think there's ways that this real estate stuff can work, but I don't know if people realize that there's no liquidity. It takes capital up front. It's harder to compete. And you could just put it in index funds or, parametric or different options. If you talk to wealth advisors or even yourself, that you can just put it into that, it'll be fine. And then focus on your active income. Focus on what's the revenue that you can easily like dial the hell up out of it.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't know, that just seems so much more obvious given the fact that you can create an internet business with very low, like literally AppSumo was $48. And I made $3 million last year just for myself. And I already shared that publicly, so I don't mind. And I don't mean that arrogantly. But think about that, like $48. Try to buy a house for $48. Let me know how that goes. But you can start an Airbnb cleaning business for $48, buy the supplies, and make $1 million a year. You can do an Airbnb property management business. You can do a design business for Airbnbs. You can do an Airbnb software business. Those ones, I think, have a lot more upside and a lot less competition.
Yeah.
Maybe not the cleaning necessarily, but I think it's just more easy than how many people can try to buy a house. And there's just so many other challenges in real estate that I don't think people fully realize.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to share my takeaways like 2 or 3 years because we're still getting our permit, etc. But I feel like it's good diversification, and also because I've been the face of our channels for a long time, and I took a 6-week vacation this year and I saw my income drop significantly. I just didn't like it. So YouTube, like for me, YouTube is a very active business. So we're working on several things like adding more faces, removing me from some of the channels, and also adding passive income for me so I can go on a 3-month vacation.
Why not a 12-month vacation?
Or a 12-month vacation. I don't want a 12-month though. I think it's too much.
You could, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of this work stuff is just a life vacation. I know that sounds kind of crazy sometimes, but my girlfriend's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I like it.
Exactly.
I like talking about the book. I like making YouTube videos. I'm liking promoting software deals. And she's like, let's just chill a little bit. And I'm like, okay, we will.
Let's talk about more business ideas. I have a list, but I wanted you to give me some business ideas, like $1 million business ideas that people can start within 48 hours without initial capital. For 2024, let's make something that's exciting for this year.
Let's just talk about your business as an example. I guess a lot of times what I encourage, we talked about like $1 million business ideas. Mm-hmm. There's not like a perfect one, right? Because if that existed, everyone would just do the same thing. And then everyone would be a millionaire, which I think is possible. I think everyone can be a millionaire. Like, did you see the video I just posted about this, where I started a business?
Your latest video on how to start a business?
No one watched it. Don't worry.
I watched it. No, I loved it. I was telling to my team, because we're doing another 15 video business ideas video prep, like how you analyzed Google Trends, how you actually I just watched that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I'm still excited about in terms of that thing is what is stuff you're paying for. Like literally, I'll pull up my credit card bill. This is in the book. I give people a lot of different ways, but one you could literally do right now is look at your credit card bill. I'll pull up mine, and I'll just pull this up live. And then you start looking at things like, what are things you're spending money on? Those are all, every problem is an opportunity. Like AppSumo was because I was doing payments for companies and they all treated me like trash. And they all were like, we just need customers. Just give it customers. I was like, oh, everyone wants customers. And then I was like, oh, web software is getting bigger. I like web software. I like helping people get customers. I like deals. Maybe I can put that together in terms of a problem that people want.
Yeah.
The other thing I like to think about is like, what have I avoided? Anything you avoid in your life is a business. So like, what have you not done? Like even for you, what's stuff that's on your to-do list that you're like, oh, I'd love if someone could just do that. Sounds like, maybe someone to run your channel. That was one.
Yeah. No, I have people for that, but mostly it's like, I think it's mostly like 401k. We're switching providers. Like that has been a headache.
Keep going. So keep going. These are great.
401k,
Here's the thing.
Finding Airbnbs in the area, finding out about regulations, finding the right deal. Oh my God, there's so many. And like even the real estate, oh my God, the real estate buying process in the US is broken. It is broken. It took us like 40 days to close the deal, and they kept asking for additional documents. Buying a car, it took us 9 hours in the dealership to do like all the documents because they only accept checks, and we had to go to a bank to add a check. But the bank has a limit per day.
Wow, we got you going on this one. So to be clear, you're asking $1 million opportunities. These are all $1 million opportunities. Let me tell you one from literally today. I have a tax lawyer who's in Puerto Rico, and there's this new tax credit thing. I don't know. It's about clean tax credits where you can get write-offs on your tax credits, and you can literally get millions of dollars off. Which I was like, that's so shady. He's like, it's 100% legit. Go look it up. The government announced transferable clean energy credits. How much can people save in their taxes? Literally, if you're a business, you can save hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's totally legit. So 2 things you could do right with there. I'm just pulling up my credit card bill, and that got me thinking about it. One, you could go see if this is actually legit. Go to companies, help them actually buy these credits and take a cut of the credit.
Do you feel like, so when I think about those ideas, what's stopping me as an entrepreneur, I feel like first of all, I'm not an expert. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a real estate person, etc. That's number one.
Totally.
Number two, like, especially being in Silicon Valley, right? AI, that's a great example. Everybody's building something in AI. But when I talk to investors, they tell me like, Marina, the problem with building something in AI is that big companies are still going to take over because the big companies, they own data set and they're going to succeed. And it doesn't take a lot of effort to build something on top of that, right? Once you own the data set. So and I see a lot of AI startups failing because of that. And once you start understanding the market, you're like, it's like, yes, I can switch on this 20-year-old mindset where I don't see the problems and I just go all in. But the problem is with a lot of business ideas, if I go all in, I just basically waste my time because in a year I will realize that, Amazon just rolled out something similar and I just have to shut down. Yes. Was it a great experience? Yes. Did it make me $1 million? No. Okay.
Hold on. A few things there. One, you got me riled up. Number one, screw these investors because they're literally just, okay, that was rude to them. And I do like these investors, but these investors are only caring if it's $1 billion or not. Like they thought when I started AppSumo, they're like, this is the stupidest thing. We'll never fund it. It'll never work. I don't know. Doing $100 million a year, bootstrapped, like the team gets paid well, our partners are happy, your customers happy. Like I think it's a pretty awesome business. I'm still surprised we're here. And all those Silicon Valley investors were like, we did try to get funding twice. We got rejected by everyone.
Yeah.
And so I don't worry about your investors, worry about your customers. The second thing, this AI is bullshit. Everyone's like AI, everything. No customer wakes up thinking about AI. They all wake up thinking about their problems. And it's just like, there's literally trillions of dollars not in AI. Are things going to get replaced by AI? Yes. But you still have to find those customers to help them solve their problems. And then yes, AI can support that. And then I would say the last thing, I think what you're highlighting, which I agree with, is what's in your zone of influence that you can have an advantage. Meaning, what do you know or what have you done or what are you curious about? And who do you have access to?
Yeah.
And I think if you're doing it way outside, and I think that's a great example, like this tax credit, I know a lot of other CEOs, right? Because I've been running businesses and doing YouTube content and I'm from Silicon Valley. So I have access to these people. So if I want to do it, yes, they're in my zone of influence. So I don't think people can not do these things, but there's an easier way doing it within your own, within the own groups of things you've done and gotten paid for or things you're curious about and people you have access to.
Yeah.
So I think that AI, we make a lot of money selling AI tools, and I think that's an interesting thing too. Like we have AI in our platform and some of the ways we do it, but maybe don't worry about having the AI, worry about being potentially a platform around AI.
Yeah.
I think people are missing out on that. Like you can literally get rich making an AI channel now. You don't have to actually invent what AI tool it's going to be. And that was something I learned when I created, we were building Facebook games, and basically Facebook banned us. And I was like, they're the ones in charge.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Sometimes you build something and the platform just bans you. Or I know so many Instagram apps that shut down because once Instagram disabled their API.
But I think the point is getting active, right? You're never going to learn to swim sitting outside the pool.
Yeah, that is.
You have to get in the pool.
You just have to.
And so what I'm saying by this is that every business is going to fail. Great. That'll lead you to the one that works. And that's why it's called $1 Million Weekend, because each weekend you can try to find the one that works. Like I tried so many different ones. And if you're excited about AI, great, go for it. But try it, give it yourself a limited time period. People are sticking with dogs and losers way too long. And then they come and they're like, I want to monetize. This is like a Silicon Valley perfect one. I want to help monetize creators. Cool. I love it. Great. Mm-hmm. Are you a creator yourself? No, I don't know anyone who's a creator. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like
doesn't mean it can work.
Sounds like
but you're making
2021 and a lot of startups failed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same with the AI. Like I'm hella into AI. I love AI. I'm an AI influencer now. It's like, great. What have you made with AI? Nothing. Okay. Let's just try making some things and seeing what actually people want to pay you for, what people are excited about. And, like we're in this last video I did, I was looking at my bill and there's a DocuSign. It's like, let's just replace that. Let's see if other people have that problem. And it turns out it's $1 million opportunity. We're launching it in 2 weeks, and that's going to be $1 million business.
Like just a competitor for DocuSign, signing documents.
DocuSign, yeah.
DocuSign. Oh, interesting. So like cloning whatever exists on the market. One.
Yeah, everything is I wouldn't say copy. I would say iterate. Everyone. Every business idea. Here's what happens. Like, there's never a perfect idea where it's $1 million idea. Like Marina, you have a great idea. I'm going to launch this thing for Silicon Valley girl. It's going to make $1 million. And then you go on Google or Instagram or Twitter and you're like, well, someone did it. That's over. Have you ever done that?
All the time. And
yeah.
And I'm like,
and we all do.
They're already doing it. What is like, sometimes when I don't have a clear understanding how I'm going to make it better, then I just don't do it. And that's the thing. How are you going to make the dopus? What did you call it?
I don't know if we have a name for it yet, but I think the point that I was trying to show in that video, and I don't think we explained it well, is that you need to find out if the problem is going to be $1 million opportunity through some market research as well through a customer first approach, which is, can you find actual customers for this in a very short window of time? And are they excited to actually give you money for that? And I think people are spending 6 months, 12 months building AI related tools to find out no one wants it.
Yeah. And
so how do you find customers and see what you can actually satisfy for them? And they're excited about it. That does stick. And there's a product called Cast Magic. This one, they built it very quickly, launched it on AppSumo. It's automatic notes and show notes for podcasts. They are now at 1 million ARR, I think within 12 months.
Wow.
Which is insanely fast. And why? It's because it's a very clear thing that people really, 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 really want. And most people are doing things that it's like, it's okay. Yeah, I have to go beg a bunch more people. It's like, and they're going to keep begging for a very long time and struggling with that.
Okay. Can you give me more ideas?
Yeah, let's go through more ideas.
Have you researched anything I like the approach of like looking at bigger companies and seeing whether you can take one feature and make it cheaper, more accessible, but it's just one feature.
And by the way, that doesn't always work. Again, you have to make sure you have the customer thinking first, right? Mm-hmm. We copied Klaviyo. It's called Meet Fam. We spent 6 months building it. I could not beg a friend to use that one because people don't want to switch off their email provider. It is very hard to get someone to switch off their email provider. But when I was asking people about the DocuSign, I was like, hey, we have this thing. They're like, oh my God, how do I send you money now? I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we hate DocuSign.
Because there are some apps that are easy to switch from. They're not too sticky. Okay, interesting.
Yes, or the cost. So like for impact.com, that's our affiliate software. It's $120,000 a year for our affiliate software. It's so trash, right? No offense to them, but it's like they haven't updated it. It's very complicated for $10,000 a month. So we're like, maybe that's an opportunity, either for us or for someone else. So again, you can look at your credit card bills from the AppSumo team. They said the top 6 things for people to be building is that there's still a lot of low code, no code platforms. So like think of Webflow, think of Bubble, There's a lot out there. All-encompassing chatbots. So there's a company that did really well on AppSumo called Chatbase. So how do you replace your whole support team, or really not have to replace all of them, but you can, reduce the amount you need. And it feels like you're talking to a human. I still feel, have you ever done these chats on sites and they're still so crappy?
Oh yeah, they're bad. But the one that I like is called ManyChat, because it lets you convert your Instagram followers into an email or whatever. Because you tell them like DM me a word, and they will DM.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my God, one of my favorite apps. And they will DM you a word, and you will send them to your email. Like, for example, I will do a video like how to grow on YouTube. And if you're looking for top 15 first video ideas, DM me video, and I will send you a free checklist. And they send me a video, this word, and we ask them for their email. We get their email, we send them the checklist, and this is how we get their email.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool. ManyChat. I think it's been on AppSumo.
They're really cool.
Other tools. So other 4 business ideas around 2024 building we think are at least $1 million opportunities is collaboration tools. So Miro, FigJam, Async. And again, these tools you have to find, can you find buyers for them? Do you have people in your network? Do you have customers that you can service around this? There's tools for creators around this. I think you have to understand, like, what are the creator problems? Like Descript crushes. Everyone loves Descript. Everyone loves Frame.io.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Frame.io competitor. Kind of surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. So you just build competitors, right? Is that your strategy?
I'm sharing different. I don't think you only have to build competitors, but it's easier to convince people that already understand something than try to convince them something they don't know. Right? A lot of times, like, oh, you've never used anything like this before, and let me explain everything. It's like, Jesus, that's really hard.
I actually love this approach because, again, probably because I'm surrounded by people who are like trying to change the world every day. You don't realize that $1 million ideas are not the ones where you invent something completely new. It's just you take a problem that already exists in the market. Like with YouTube, you take videos that are already performing, you're applying them to your personality, and this is how you grow the channel. Same with business. You see what's already working, you're fixing something, either you're removing something that's not useful, you're lowering the price, and this is your business idea. I feel like because we've talked like for an hour now, I feel like this is one of your things.
This is my thing.
Right? Yeah.
I like low cost, a good value. I mean,
yeah.
With AppSumo, we built these tools. They're called the originals, and it's our number one driver into our business. So we have 3 that have worked. We've built 8, and only 3 have really worked, which is tidycal.com. So we have a Calendly alternative. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Oh, you've heard of Tidy? Yeah. So TidyCal does lately it's doing almost $4,000 a day.
Wow.
Which is pretty bonkers.
So you've seen Calendly, you've seen it doing well, and you're like, let's create an alternative. Was that the thinking process?
So we use a stack rank internally. And the idea is, how do we, and this is something every business can copy. You're kind of doing with YouTube. What's your low cost or product that you can consistently bring in people to your ecosystem? And so, think about Amazon Kindle, right? That's like a really good way to get people to buy books from Amazon. Yeah. Like that's their entry point. And so our stack rank is basically, do we like this problem ourselves? So like, for instance, there's so many AI writing tools, and we have like Neuron Writer, and there's just a ton on AppSumo, and they do well, but none of us want to build one. We're like, no, there's enough being built. Number 2, is it viral? So is there a word of mouth component in the product we're building, right? Like, is this something that people are going to share with others? Because it's a lot easier to grow a product. Our customers are solopreneurs, so like something where they're going to share with other solopreneurs.
Yeah. Next
is there a high cost alternative for us to switch out of? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because some apps are sticky, some are not.
Yeah. So like Calendly, $29 a month. We're $29 for life. Like it's crushing. So we did that. We did a MailChimp alternative. That one's done okay. SendFox. We did a giveaway software. That one's done okay. And I think this DocuSign one is definitely going to be a 7-figure business. A few other things people can build. Yeah, tools that replace expensive stuff. I still think like Google Analytics. A lot of people are complaining how complicated it is. I think sales tax. If you're doing, by the way, this is a $1 billion business. Like there's a company called Tipalti. Have you seen Tipalti?
Yeah. The payment.
So there's Tipalti where it's just like, it's literally just helps people send payments.
Yeah.
It's like what PayPal's mass payment feature. Mm-hmm. Like that is such an interesting problem. And like we pay them a lot. I think that and sales tax sucks, especially if you're selling online, not using Shopify. Like huge opportunity around that. Again, just think about things that are your like line items that are annoying. You're like, why am I paying so much in sales tax? Or like right now we have to do all this stuff for that. It's very complicated. It's like, that's an interesting opportunity. Also like Zapier problems. We actually competed. We built something against Zapier, but it's very sticky. I still think there's opportunities to do that within verticalization. So like, can you verticalize like content creating from like, I guess like Teachable and what they've done in courses? I still wonder if there's other areas that you could vertically integrate. So a lot of it comes back to like, what's the problems that we're excited about? You know, what are things that myself and, you know, we can service other people?
Yeah. Yeah. What is my unique angle on this problem? Love it. Love it. Okay. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to
let's go.
With. You mentioned a lot about being
by the way, sometimes when I interact with Russian people, I never feel like I'm good enough. Like the Russian mentalities, you guys have such excellence. I'm like, I'm trying so hard to be impressive to you, Marina. And you're like, no, better.
No, you're
and
amazing.
I'm like, I love the
you're
Russians.
Amazing. I'm learning so much. I think sometimes we're too straightforward. Like you answered and you're like, okay, got it. I got the answer. Let's move on. I feel like Americans like to do more like back and forth.
Hey,
and this is something I had to, like, I went to a film school and they were teaching us how to be behind the camera, and my thing was I would always tell people like, move out of the frame, I'm filming here, and the teacher would always come back to me and say, Marina, you can't do this, you have to say excuse me for a second, I'm just finishing the scene. Yeah, I feel like this is our culture. We're too straightforward.
No, I love it. My best friend Anton's Russian, so
nice.
I love the Russision culture.
Cool. Okay, let me ask you something. Like there were certain questions that I wanted to ask you around staying focused, right? You said that Mark Zuckerberg, all of the billionaires, they're focused on one idea. But at the same time, like looking at you have a book, you have AppSumo, you have a YouTube channel. Do you feel like you're not focused, or do you see this as part of one big thing?
Let's just take AppSumo, for instance. The question to me is AppSumo focused? Mm-hmm. And it's focused. How do I know it's focused? Because we have one clear goal. So if you call someone on our team, call them today, and we need to keep telling people this over and over. What's our number one goal? The number one goal, as I said earlier in the show, is 56.6 million net revenue. Mm-hmm. I just say it over and over and over again, and then there's planning and blah, a lot of stuff around that, and everyone should know, like, hey, are we moving forward or not towards our number one goal? That's it.
But what about you, like you as a founder, right? If we take Mark Zuckerberg, he doesn't have a channel. Yes, he posts like some pictures on Instagram, but I guess he's working 18 hours a day. He doesn't do podcasts.
That's okay. Everyone could do it their own way.
No, I mean,
there's
like,
the Marina way.
What is focus for you then?
In terms of focus for these different pieces, I would say historically, I used to go off and do a bunch of new stuff. But now if you think about it, everything just supports the core. And what's the core? It's a solopreneur. It's a software creator. Those are the two people that we help software creators reach solopreneurs. And so if you look at all the things we do, these originals products drive people into AppSumo to buy this tool that then they find out about other software creators. Then you have content. Same thing. That goes back into the core. So how do you keep supporting the core and make the core bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? By just doing the same thing towards that. Now, the other way that I've solved it is there's a CEO for each of these different things. So each thing has its own CEO. So for AppSumo, there's Sean and Alona that run the business. And then for the YouTube channel, there's a creative director, Jeremy. Now we're going through transition, but there's a CEO of that. And then for the book, there was a guy named Tommy Tal was the CEO of helping me write the book. And then Tommy was the CEO of the book marketing. And then all these things go back into supporting the core. And I would say in the past, I have gone off and like, let's go try this new idea because it'll be easier. Whenever someone says it, like, hey, I'm starting something new, I'm always like, is there anything that's working? They're like, yeah, this is working, but I'm starting something new. I was like, you could try it, but what if you did things that just kept making this work better?
Yeah.
Because the best business is the ones that work. So just keep doubling down on this thing that's working. There's always more meat on that bone. Mm-hmm. And focus is when you're starting new things. Mm-hmm. That's a lack of focus.
I love that answer. So basically you are focused. It's just you're doing different things, but if they're leading to one goal, then that's focus.
the core customer of AppSumo, like our hero is the software creator, making software for small business owners, just like ourselves, right? Like making it for individuals. We have a lot of solopreneurs work at AppSumo themselves. They have their own side hustles. And so all the things we do is it helping that kind of person? Same when you create content, who are you creating? And all of the same, it's always the same person, which is going to be this software creator / solopreneur.
Cool. Thank you. Another question, and this is my Russian mentality asking.
Bring the Russian. Let's go. I can't wait to. I want more Russian people.
I've heard in your interview that you said that you are trying to live a frugal lifestyle. When you described like when you met Ali Abdal and he was staying in this fancy hotel and you were like staying in a whatever motel or a 3-star hotel, your company is doing what you're targeting 56 million this year. Where does this come from? I feel like this is a very American thing to stay frugal, to try and save it. Like you negotiate for coffee. And I know this may be the part of the process where you overcome your fears, but you still negotiate for coffee, right? If I'm a Russian with $100 million company, I'm going to tip them like $200 and say like, hey, enjoy your money. I'm rich now. Where does it come from? And
oy vey. So let me just share a story about my mother. My mom was a nurse, retired at 60, hated her job. And so she goes to Starbucks and she comes home and she goes, Noah, they're $3.50 a latte. It's so expensive. I just won't, I'm not doing it no more. I'm not doing it. And they're very well off, from normal jobs, just from normal jobs. So then she goes to 7-Eleven and she buys a big gulp, fills up the big gulp with their coffee. She lets them know. And then she brings it home and rations it. She literally rations that big gulp for a week. I'm like, oh, wow. So that's my training. That's my upbringing.
But
just for
you know
clarity.
what's interesting? We all have like, if you ask any Russian, we're all from Soviet Union. I had like an apple a week. That was my dessert. Like I come from that background. And because of that, once we make money, we want to like enjoy all of the best of the world. Like we want to try flying private. We want to go business class. We want to have a assistant.
Hell yeah.
We just want to try that lifestyle because we know no one in our families had access to it.
Okay, so let's just take that as an example. We were going to film in LA and Vegas for 4 days. And I don't know. I think I'm in the hotel room for 8 hours? So I'm not staying in there. I'm not working in there. I'm literally like it's a very expensive storage unit. So I could go get $1,000 room. I could get a $10,000 room night. Or I could get one that was $200 and it's around the corner from Ali from when we had to do a recording. And I just,
why not the same place as Ali? Even closer to him. You can hang out at the bar.
I didn't know where he was. I guess I knew where he's staying. Yeah, I guess I didn't see that yet. I didn't see that option. And my assistant quit.
Okay.
But I think part of it is, as you make money, we're taught how to make it. We're not taught how to enjoy it. And that's a learned thing. And I think you have to figure out what you value too. Right? Like I've rented nice cars. Like I have a Miata 2004. I have my Tesla and and I have a little scooter. I'm still like, I can't believe I have these. And I don't care for a Ferrari. You can rent a Ferrari on Turo for $500 in a day. See if you like it. Flying private. I think it's also something you have to try and see how it works. Like, so I wanted to fly private to Orlando to see my girlfriend's family. It's like $20,000 each way.
Yeah.
Like post-tax. That's post-tax money. I guess I could try to say it's like I'm going for work and maybe you can expense it. It's just like, oh man, that's hard. That's tough but I think, paying for first class flights, some things, you just kind of, you work on.
Yeah.
And I think we go in step functions of wealth. So as you make more, I think you have to get used to it and figure out how you can actually enjoy it.
But I like how Americans try to stay on a lower income lifestyle, regardless of how much money they make. They try to stay in this lane of like being middle class, even if you're a billionaire already. It's what
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm spending pretty well. I'm happy. I've gone to so much therapy. I've probably spent tens of thousands in therapy on how to spend my money, which is just freaking crazy.
Okay,
that's like an American thing to do.
Text me and I will give you a list of things.
I will text you and be like, buy it. I'm like, Marina, That's $1 million opportunity. Marina, should I buy it? Yes. What about this private flight? Yes. Do you think I should do it?
Marina
Yes.
approves.
By the way, that's not a bad
And
business.
you're actually
these
getting a
finan-
baby. Like the money's gonna flow out of your credit card like crazy.
I'm already seeing it. We went and bought these clothes this weekend, and my girlfriend, she wanted to pay for it, but it was like $200 for like 5 little onesies.
And then
I was
there's
like,
the nanny, and then there's daycare, which is very
Yeah, I don't want to call them out, but I have friends making 500,000 that can't afford to live, right? That sounds too extreme. 500,000 and they're losing money.
Oh.
Which is crazy. I don't know how, and I think this is the point for people out there, is that being an entrepreneur at least gives you the opportunity to make a lot of money. These day jobs, which are good and I think be your investors, create the foundation for you to create this unlimited wealth. Because nowadays, more than ever, this shit is scary. Like I ordered 2 bowls of pho last night. It was $50.
yeah.
I was like, that's crazy. How do people afford this? That was
is
on Uber
crazy.
Eats.
Yeah.
In Austin, where the cost of living is relatively a little bit more affordable. So I think that's for people out there, how do you create the system that can then start enabling you to live whatever life you want? Maybe it's Rolexes and caviar and private jets. But
It's like,
also you can live pretty well for
it's just sometimes I get surprised because when I interviewed Graham, I think it was 2021 or something, and he told me he's never been to Europe, and for me it's like, how can you make all of this money and never explore the world, never like see the Eiffel Tower? Like, how is it even possible? Like when my parents started making some decent amount of money, they sent me to Finland in a car with someone they knew, because Finland is like 6 hours drive from St. Petersburg. For me to see the world, they like let her see that. And that was one of the best experiences for me.
I don't feel like I'm not spending how I want. Like maybe if people had as much as I did, they'd fly more private or they'd have Ferraris, but I don't care about that as much. I think if I'd like to fly private all the time. So yeah, I think it's a little bit more wealth, I would probably end up doing that.
Okay. So it's in there. It's just, I guess you're getting there.
Okay, like take a private flight. So if it's $40,000 round trip to Orlando and back, like that's a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah, but then does it matter if you have a $40 million net, whatever business?
Well, by the way, when people talk about their businesses, that's the revenue, right? Minus all these other things.
Yours
like
is
our
like
profit
80.
is lower.
Is it 80% margin or?
Yeah, but then there's a team, then there's marketing, then we pay these partners. There's all these different things. Like we did last year around 80 million top line, and then we made about 7 million profit. So yes, there's money to take the team to Mexico, which we did. We took everyone on the team that wanted to go to all inclusive. But flying private everywhere, go broke pretty fast.
But interesting, out of those, if you can share it, out of those 7 million, how much are you able to spend on yourself? Or do you take that as a distribution, or you just keep it in the company?
So what I do that I think is interesting that others can do. One, in companies you can create a management fee. So you can actually be a separate entity, and that's one thing. I did not do that. But I get about I have a base salary of $250 a year, and then I get a profit share at the end of the year as part of my salary. So just a W-2 on that. And then the other half of my distribution goes to a company that's for all of the content I create as a sponsorship. And I do that because it's very tax advantageous to have a separate entity.
Totally. And see, if you owned Airbnbs, you could do cost segregation study, not pay W-2 taxes, buy a property every year, create a passive income.
Here's the thing. They're all headaches. Just to think about the headache that you want to have.
Yeah.
And, these headaches with real estate where it's not liquid, people are complaining, there's taxes, there's fixes.
But then you
That's
find a
not as much
property manager for 20%.
The property manager is going to call you. And the property manager is going to say, hey, 3 a.m., like they lost their keys. Or, hey, do you want to spend $15,000 because there's flooding? Okay. They're still going to call you for the approval.
Got it. Cool. Thank you so much. I think I asked everything. That was super knowledgeable and amazing conversation. And I hope people enjoyed it. And hopefully, my hope is always with these videos that somebody gets to start something to make our lives better, something to make the US a healthier, nation. Like my business ideas would always include organic foods and healthy restaurants for kids. Let's do more stuff for kids, please. You're gonna realize that once you take your kid to Dubai, you're gonna realize how much fun stuff is happening there for the kids and how nothing is happening here. Like especially in the Bay Area, if you go to a mall, there's nothing for kids. It's only for adults. In Dubai, every mall would have a playground, would have whatever, like where you can just put your child
cool.
and they're gonna have fun. So I hope we inspired people to start things. That was the goal for it. Thank you so much, Noah. And I'm looking forward to reading your book.